Yeah, Kira's not in. She has a small calf injury, and it's just too short to come into camp. It's not a major thing, but not ready to play. Beth England is injured too. She had an injury, she'll be out a little longer.
Yeah, when we saw Kira's name with the word injury next to it, we all thought about the summer, I suppose. Is it slight relief it's not a recurrence of what we saw?
No, it has nothing to do with that injury.
Talking about injuries, I suppose, no Beth Mead, no Fran Kirby. Was it, I mean, I presume you've been in discussions with both them and the clubs, but how close were they to getting call-ups, and how eager are you to see them back in the squad soon?
Yeah, of course we have taken that in consideration. As we have seen, Arsenal's played Champions League. Beth was in the squad, but she wasn't involved in those games. She has been out for a long time, and she first now needs to take the next step to get games, get consistency in that, and that's what we have to see to be ready to compete for selection again. And Fran is really close. She played some friendlies already, did well, but also again with her, it's just a little too early to bring her in. She's been out for a while too. So yes, I'm very looking forward to see them play, but that will be after this international period, and of course then we'll see everyone play again because then the competition starts, which is really exciting. But first, the international window.
How difficult was it to pick this squad, considering the WSL season hasn't started yet, and there's only been 3 games that you could actually watch, 2 of those with Arsenal and 1 with Bayern Munich playing against an amateur team?
Yeah, you know, there's such a short turnaround, and so hardly any competition. So that's also why there's not many, one of the reasons there's not many changes in the squad, because we were happy with the players we had at the World Cup. We bring them in now, but of course the competition is always open, but then you have to see the players. So yes, we have been in contact with clubs, but no changes for now, and except for the ones who are not available. Then you can't bring them in.
So when you talked about the tight turnaround, it's been 3.5 weeks since the World Cup final. Obviously one story has dominated football since then, and that's the actions of Luis Rubiales. Are you disappointed that this is still ongoing? I know you talked about it when you at the Coach of the Year Awards the other day, but are you still disappointed this is still ongoing and that it's still having an effect on the Spanish national team?
Well, I think what I said there too, I think what I want to talk about now is that we have to celebrate football, and that we should celebrate the players, the Spanish players who won the World Cup, and we hadn't been talking about that at all. And of course, yes, we all have seen and followed the news that things are still going on. I would like to leave that now with the people that are working on that and celebrate those players. And what I said too, yes, players need to be listened to, and they need to, we need to move on. And, you know, the women's game has improved so much, but there's still a long way to go. And not only in Spain, but I think everywhere. There's many, many players, top athletes, who still have lots of challenges, which I think we should work on all together and stay connected and try to make the world better for those players.
The English game isn't immune to sort of problems. Obviously, we talk about bonuses going into the World Cup, so are you expecting that conversations to take place amongst the players and the FA coming into this camp?
Yeah, of course, the players said, I'm not involved in those conversations, but the players and the NFA said they didn't get an agreement before the tournament, so they agreed to disagree, and then start the conversations again after the World Cup. And yeah, what I said, there's been such a short turnaround that those conversations will start again, and I'm very positive that will have a good outcome.
Hi Sarina, Tom Gary from The Telegraph. Nice to see you. Just to follow on from that question from Anton, are you quite hopeful that those discussions can be resolved amicably and quickly?
Yeah, I'm very hopeful. I'm very positive. Because I think the environment has been good. The way that they have been talking to each other has been really good. I just need a little more time. And I think just take the time and get some good solutions. And the people who are involved with the FA and the players are in good communication.
Could I also please ask you about the timing of these games and the fact that there's this break for the international fixtures before the English season starts? Are you worried at all about the calendar and perhaps how short a break some of your players had before they resumed to their clubs after the World Cup?
Yes, I am very worried. I was worried before the World Cup, and we knew this was a very short turnaround, and it's a bigger thing. So we are talking about the calendar. And that we really have to get connected with FIFA, UEFA, the federations, and that we have to make that better. And of course the game is growing, which is really good. We see the improvement of the game, but also like there's commercial things coming into the game, which is good. But it has to grow together, and players need some rest too. And yes, next week they come in, and some players only had 6 days off, which after such a high level, high pressure competition is not good for them. And that has been going on for a long time, because we have major tournaments in the summer all the time. So the urgency to solve it and to make it better is really, really high. And yes, so next week, players will come in, and we first have to see how they are physically. They will be okay, and we have to get them fresh and do everything to do that, because you can't just separate the mind with the physical part. So, yeah, that's going to be a challenge.
Thank you. Thanks, Rob. Yep, we'll go to Rob.
Hi, Rob Harris from Sky News. Just wondered if you feel now really reinvigorated, and if the Olympics is now a big mission to try to win, and are you going to have any talks about extending your contract through to the next World Cup?
You used 3 questions
Sorry.
in one sentence.
As you said.
Well, first of all, we start with the Nations League, which is the first one ever, so that's pretty exciting. So there's more competitive games. And you have to do really well in the Nations League to qualify for the Olympics, because that's a really hard one. You have to finish first in the group, and then you have to be with the first 2, or if France gets into the final, then you can become 3rd, you can finish 3rd. So that's a hard one, but that's obvious we want to qualify, as of course the other countries want to. On second, you're talking about my contract. I have a contract until 25. We know we are happy. I'm happy here, and I think the FA and the players are happy that I'm here, and we're working really good together, and hope we keep doing that. And yes, we have conversations, but we always do, because we did after the Euros, and we do now too, but it has been such a short turnaround.
We last heard you in Monaco, and you dedicated your award to the Spanish players. Have you heard from any of those players at all since that powerful speech?
I've heard from, well, of course, at the evening, Aitana Bonmati was there, so we spoke a little bit, and I heard from the English players. Yeah, I just felt that it was good to do, and I still feel that was the right thing to do.
Do you hope more people in the game speak up, so it's not left just to female leaders like yourself to speak up, that some of the men speak up? And you talked about the cultural change. What is the change that you hope for that will improve things in football for women?
I think lots of people have spoken up. I think male and female, and I hope we keep doing that. But for us, of course, it always starts with performing. We are here, we're professional football, I'm a professional coach, and we have professional footballers, so what we're working on is really performing at the highest level. So we have the visibility, and then you have the platform, and especially in the women's game, we feel the urgency that we can use that platform to hopefully make the world a little bit better.
Thanks, Rob. Go to Molly. Thank you.
Hi, Sarina, Molly from The Times. You were speaking to Tom there about the calendar congestion, and I guess for you as a coach, and also for maybe some of the league coaches, are you going to have to take matters into your own hands by maybe rotating more, or just not being able to play the exact team that you'd really like to play because they've just played too much, they haven't had enough rest?
Yeah, it's really like, of course you have the team and you want to perform at the highest level with the team. And what you also want players to be fresh. And for us, for me, together with my staff, with all the expertise we have in the staff, it's balancing too, okay, is this player still fit enough, fresh enough to play the game? Please, excuse me, can you move a little bit because I can't see her anymore? We just go this and that all the time. Thank you. So Tom, I don't hope you ask a question anymore. It's a tall guy. But yeah, so that's balancing, and it has been it's so intense. And as I said before, players are not robots, and they will really want to perform. So they will always show up. But that's also, the player is very important to give feedback, and we have everything set in place that we really monitor the players really well, and we also talk to the players. And then, of course, when we really think someone is not ready to play, then we have the discussion.
And I know, obviously, directly before the World Cup, there were a lot of discussions about the release windows and all this sort of stuff. Is that something that you're keen to be a part of conversations going forward to try and find some kind of solution that works for the players?
Yeah, well, it should be all about the players, of course. And, of course, you don't want to get in those conversations again. You want to be in conversation and have solutions. And we absolutely have to do that. We also said that no one wants that to happen again because it's not good for the players. I think it also comes a little bit with the development of the game, and it goes so quick that you run into these problems where you have to find solutions for, and that's why I say we have to get in conversations with each other, and that's really complex. But then it comes with vision and strategies, and then prioritize things and make choices.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarina. You've obviously got this new competition now. Are you relishing having a new competition compared to maybe how the old qualifiers worked out, which maybe wasn't fun for everybody, but also does it create challenges, say, if you want to bring in new players, you used to have, after the major tournaments, of friendlies, and maybe also the qualifiers against some of the weaker nations. These are not matches you have anymore. It's tough matches all the way through now. Does that present a different challenge to what you were used to before in the previous cycles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's absolutely a challenge, but I think it's also good for the game because when you ready to step up and be ready to play the games or come in. Fortunate we have the under-23s too, and that's a very good team where you can see the development of the players too. So you have the squad, the senior squad, the under-23s, so we hope we give players opportunities to stay involved in, or the most talented players stay involved in international football. And of course also the club environment is important too, because that's the place where the players are the most, and if they get exposed there at the highest level, in front of lots of spectators and fans, that also develops the players. So to be ready for international football.
Are you relishing the chance maybe to try and win another trophy? Because obviously this is the Nations League, and in February there'll be finals, and it's if you get through, and if you get drawn at home, it could be another final at Wembley. You've had a couple of them in the last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like to play finals. Well, the players do too. So, of course, well, it starts next week, and let's first have a good start. And we know what we want, and then we bring it back to the first game. So the first game, of course, is Scotland, and we want to have a good start. We bring it back and make it small to that game.
Before we go back across the room to Emma, please. Thank you.
Hi, Sarina.
Hi.
Just wanted to ask about Lucy Staniforth and Myla Tissier. Obviously, they were on the standby list. They came out to Australia with you. Just wondered how much of an opportunity this is for them to really make a mark and try and get into that, that smaller 23, 24 type squad. Thank you.
Yeah, they did really well. Of course, they went with the team, so that when we arrived in Australia, we were 25. They have been great team players. They performed really well on the pitch too, so we knew if anything would happen with the squad that they were ready to step in. And that's the way they left the team too when we started. They have had a good preparation now with their clubs, so when the opportunity came, we brought them in.
Hi, Sarina. Neil Moxley from the Mirror. I just wondered, just going back to Tom's point, you're understandably worried about, the quick turnaround in 6 days that some of the girls have had, obviously rest. What practically can you do, and who can you speak to? You say that conversations have got to take place, but can you give us a flavour of who you'd speak to, or who is being spoken to, and where these conversations, and when they're likely to be some sort of outcome?
Well, I'm not going to share individual conversations.
I'm talking more about UEFA and FIFA and
yeah.
fellow
Well,
head
of course,
coaches and international teams. I don't want you to go through a list of names.
No, sorry about that. But no, I've talked to coaches of clubs, of course, because there's no competition going on, so there have been conversations. And we all know that the challenges have been addressed for a long time now, but we also know that some things can't be changed overnight. So I think everyone is aware that we have to speak with each other, and we have to do, we can do a little better, and that we all know it's pretty complex, because when you look at the whole picture, the whole globally, then of course competition in other continents are at another in other stages or have another calendar, but I think the conversations are going on. And we just need to keep doing that and hopefully find better solutions than we had.
Thank you.
You touched obviously on Beth and Fran. How difficult was it for Beth in the fact that it would have been a game at Sunderland, going back to roots to miss out on this squad?
Yeah, of course, for them it was really, they really supported the team. Over the summer, they were, of course, well, we had lots of big fans, but they were two of the biggest fans too, and together also with Leah, of course. And of course, now they hoped both to be in. So that's really disappointing, because they're ready to go. They have been out for a long time, and they're not fully ready, but in their mind they're ready to go. But it just needs a little more patience. And of course, the competition in the team is high too. So it's getting ready, playing, training fully, getting games, and then show their performance again, and start the competition again to get in.
And that turnaround between the Euros and the World Cup was obviously 1 year, whereas this time you've got the usual 2-year cycle in between major tournaments. How beneficial will that be for you in terms of developing the squad and growing it in a way that you probably couldn't do maybe between last summer and this summer?
I think every we now have all international windows are competitive all the time. I think playing games develops the team too, but what you mean is when you play friendlies, you can do something totally different. And we always play to win, but sometimes make choices for development. And that's not the case now, because we absolutely want to win the Nations League and want to qualify for the Olympics. So it's just like having the opportunity to come into the national team. It's now being ready to play. So we make choices, always choices to win, and that develops too. And that also means that some players will have a little less playing minutes, but hopefully they develop at club. We develop when we have training sessions and show us that we can bring them on the pitch.
Hi, Sarina. Sandra, Sun Sport. Just wanted to ask just what your thoughts are on Scotland and how you feel they've developed in the time, over the years since you've faced them either as coach and but obviously now with England. Just what your thoughts on them as a threat and what they pose to England.
Yeah, they. Of course, I know them pretty well because we played the Netherlands a lot. But now the last period, of course, they have. They have a time now with Pedro, the new coach. They've done well. They've had some impressive results, but I think they play well too. So they have players that we know really well. They also played in the Women's Super League, and it's a solid team. One play possession game. They play recognizable football, and yes, some players that we know really well because they played with some of our or still play with some of our players. It's going to be a competitive one, which is there's a healthy rivalry between the two countries.
Hi, Sarina. Sarah Dawkins from BBC Sport. Just reflecting off the disappointment of the final, how are you going to help the girls dust themselves off? What will your first words be to them in the dressing room ahead of going into next Friday?
My first room, the dressing room. Well, I don't know yet. I think when we are in the dressing room ready for Scotland, we're not talking about the final of the World Cup anymore. I think straight after the game in the final, first of all, I was really proud of the team because I think we really grew in the tournament. And we have had lots of challenges before the tournament and during the tournament, so I think we did really well. And of course we were devastated not winning the final. But at the end, I thought there were moments there we were struggling a little bit, and we just didn't get the momentum to score a goal. And Spain played an incredible game. So that's sport too, that sometimes another team is just a little bit better at that moment, and we want to show that we are still growing and really good and get to the next level. Thank you. See you next week.